You're looking at Brian Grazer, the producer of the new film from Touchstone, Splash. And if you think Brian Grazer looks like a fairly young man, you're absolutely right. And Brian, I know you're getting tired of hearing references to your youth. You're about 31, I believe. But I'm curious in Hollywood if it's a young man's business yet, or if it is still fraught with problems for a person relatively young, as is the case with you.
I think that it's kind of a catch-22, and the way I say that is that I think it is a youth-oriented business, but at the same time, you have to have some acceptability, so that you have to have some acceptability as well. So consequently, they want you to be young, but they also want you to have had produced stuff before too.
Darn if you do, and darn if you don't here.
Exactly, that's the thing.
Of course, working with Ron Howard as your director, this is your second time out of the gate with him.
Yeah.
Night Shift was first. Both of you, you're only a few years older than Ron, I believe.
Yeah.
And maybe he finds the same problems as a director, but if the two of you work together, I think you've got a good
Then we
track
team
record.
up against them, yeah.
Is this going to be something happening more in the future, the two of you collaborating like this?
Sure. I have a few things that I'm going to be doing, and so does Ron, that are independent of one another, but we also have things that we're going to do together as well. We like each other quite a bit personally, and at the same time I think we respect each other. I think Ron's fantastic and want to work with him.
Recently, I think it was in Esquire magazine, there was a brief rundown of the history of the script of Splash.
Yeah.
And it was so complex, extending over such a long period of time, I came away from it bewildered. And I know it's too much to get into, but very briefly, what have been some of the steps along the way from script to finished product?
Well, as far as this movie goes, as far as Splash goes, I had the idea about 5.5, 6 years ago. And with that idea, I created this idea about the man that falls in love with a mermaid and all that, and then I wrote it up. With that, I went to United Artists. United Artists said, sure, let's spend some money and hire a scriptwriter. It stayed there at United Artists for about 3.5 years through 6 changes of management. And that was real tough.
That's staying power, folks.
That's tough. You have to stay focused, and you have to really be able to endure it all. And so I stayed with those guys for quite a while, and then they decided not to make it finally, and then it went on to the Ladd Company, which is another company, a Warner Brothers company. And we worked on it. Ron and I then worked on it together for about a year, and then they decided not to do it. And it was just...
You have to have a hide made out of leather, I think, sometimes.
It's tough. It's real tough. Yeah.
What's this about Touchstone Films? As if I didn't know, but share with our viewers what Touchstone represents.
Okay, well, Touchstone represents a company that is formed by Disney, whereby Touchstone will finance and make more mainstream movies that have a PG or R rating to them. At the same time, there'll be a Disney company, so that you'll have 2 separate companies. One will say Touchstone, that will release these pictures, and the other will be Disney, which will do the animated cartoons and will do G-rated pictures.
Now, is Buena Vista still the distributor?
Buena Vista is still the distributor that will release for Touchstone and for Disney.
Okay. Let's get into the nuts and bolts of this. Let's say that maybe it's 5 years ago, and you're a young person coming into the theater, and you saw a film like Splash under a Disney imprint of some sort. Would you have been surprised, shocked? How would you have reacted?
Well, I wouldn't have thought of it that way, actually. I might have been I might not have been as interested to see it, because I would have thought, geez, if it says Disney and it's about a mermaid, it might be sanitizing it a little bit. I thought maybe it'll be silly, I might think. Then I'd see it and I'd say, geez, what a terrific picture. I'd love, that. But Disney is a trademark, and it is a trademark of certainly very, very good pictures, but pictures that are more G-rated. This picture does have some nudity. It's very tasteful, and it does have some language and things, but it offers a point of view before you see the picture.
As the writer of Splash, only you can tell us what really went into that prologue. I thought the prologue was one of the most effective moments in the whole film, and is there something deep inside you that's surfacing there?
Well, I guess that what's surfacing there is that I really believe there's somebody out there for every single person, and it might even be a mermaid.
Because when the young boy is pitched off the deck of the ship and the little girl is there waiting for him, it's a kind of destiny that... is that a fantasy of yours in some ways?
It is in a certain way. I imagine mermaids to be not only incredibly beautiful but very pure, and that they could say, I love you, and say things that that women don't always say right off, or men don't always say right off. They sort of hedge it a little bit. I thought maybe there's someone out there that's so pure and so fantastic and so direct. Who could that be? And I thought, a mermaid. Maybe it's a mermaid.
When you took one look at Daryl Hannah, you must have had something.
Well, Daryl Hannah's
up.
pretty terrific. Yeah, she's pretty wonderful.
I'm interested about a parallel I found between this film and another one. Tell me if it's fair.
Okay.
Watching Daryl Hannah, learning about the world and language from television, I kept thinking of Peter Sellers and being there. What do you think? Is this a valid?
Well, it's an interesting question. There is some validity to it. I mean, because they're both sort of strange. Well, the validity is that I think they're both strangers in a strange land.
The commentary in both is quite effective, and I didn't know if you knew about being there, if you had seen it, if it was just a coincidence that we have a similar idea there.
Well, I had seen the movie. I actually came up with this movie before Being There was around or anything. Being There was a great picture. I loved Being There. But I don't know. I guess I hadn't really thought of it at the time. I guess that's the answer.
If every project you did took as long as Splash has taken you from Genesis, yeah, I mean, what kind of a person do you have to be to see these things through, and would you do it again?
Oh, sure, I'd do it again. I love this movie. I've loved the idea from the very beginning. It is very, very hard, and you do have to be you have to be extremely focused, and you have to be very positive, believe the best and believe that it will really happen. Almost impervious to rejection.
Yeah, there you go. What has to be inside you
Well,
that
people say
sustains
no
you?
to you. In the movie business, the more operative word is no. And you just have to be willing to sort of take that and figure, well, it's no, but it's no, that's only their point of view, and you got to move on.
Is it naive of me to suggest that after Night Shift and this, that maybe the no's won't be so quick in coming next time?
Well, it's not naive. It's true, basically. It is getting it's a little easier. People have seen this picture. People like Night Shift a lot, and a lot of people have seen this picture and really love it, and so consequently they now believe in me and they believe in Ron a little bit more, and it's quite a bit easier.
Brian Grazer, only about a minute left. I'm comparing notes with some of the folks I'm talking to this weekend about Academy Award time. Any predictions or any emotional favorites of yours you'd like to push? How about Best Picture, for example?
I liked The Right Stuff. I really did.
I've been hearing that a lot.
I liked The Right Stuff because, first of all, it was an incredibly hard movie to make. It took a lot of energy, and I appreciate the energy. I appreciate the subject matter, and I like movies that are heroic. And I think that movie was heroic.
How about Best Actress?
Who's up? Shirley MacLaine?
We've got MacLaine and Winger and Endearment. That's an interesting...
I guess I have to go with Shirley MacLaine.
Very good.
Sure.
Very good. We've been talking to Brian Grazer. Now, this is the man behind the scenes here, the producer of Splash, a Touchstone film for Walt Disney. Is that the correct way to say it?
Sure, that's great.
Directed by Ron Howard, starring Tom Hanks and Daryl Hannah. Thank you very much, Brian.
Thank
Pleasure
you very
to meet
much. Sure.